Maude will return next Tuesday evening at its regular time on most of these stations.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Give to the United Negro College Fund.
Sandy Duncan and the Magic Kingdom bring a delightful dream to life on Sandy in Disneyland. Then a singer in a sparkling hour of sheer entertainment. Sandy in Disneyland and the Perry Como Sunshine Show.
Tomorrow night on CBS.
The San Diego Zoo presents the all-new Sea Lion Olympics, an exciting new show filled with splashing, diving, and fun. Great entertainment for the entire family. The all-new Sea Lion Olympics are free when you visit the San Diego Zoo. Ride the Skyfari. Take the Zoo Bus tour. See the world's largest collection of wild animals. There's fun to see and there's fun to do every day at the San Diego Zoo.
Newsroom with Joseph Benty at 11:30.
Hawaii Five-0 will be seen immediately following NBA on most of these stations.
This is action in Game 4 of the series between Detroit and Chicago on Sunday night as Dave Bing penetrates and gets the ball over to George Trapp. Trapp gets one of his 11 baskets. He and Stu Lance combined to tie the series for Detroit at 2 games apiece. Now we're at Chicago Stadium for Game 5 of the series between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. Good evening, I'm Pat Summerall, and home court advantage has meant absolutely nothing in this series as Detroit won here in the opening game and Chicago turned right around and won at Cobo Arena. The series is tied now at 2 games apiece, and we're set for Game 5. And working with me tonight, the great forward of the Golden State Warriors, Rick Barry. And Rick, some thoughts about the Detroit Pistons?
Well, Pat, for the Detroit Pistons, Bob Lanier has been the fellow who's been doing the job for him. He's scoring 5 points above his seasonal average, up around 28 points a game right now. His rebound totals are up about 3 or 4 rebounds a ball game, and he's intimidating people, blocking shots. He's held Clifford Ray 6 points below his seasonal average, as well as keeping him 4 rebounds below Ray's average during the season. So Bob's been doing it all along with Dave Bing, and as you pointed out, the great play from their bench. Fellows like Stu Lance and George Trapp have really done it for Detroit. If they can get this continued play from them, they're going to be in real fine shape in this series.
Okay, Rick, and now let's call in the third member of our broadcast team. Here is Hot Rod Hundley. And Rod, your thoughts about Chicago?
Well, Pat, first of all, I think Chicago has got to get more scoring from their bench. They have scored under 90 points in 3 of the first 4 ball games. Their bench has averaged only 15 points a game. But this ball club is a tough one, and they're led by Jerry Sloan. Sloan, of course, has been averaging about 17 points a game in the first 4 playoff games, but Jerry has been occupied in the last game by Stu Lance, who had 23 points. In the previous 3 games, they were able to sag off and let Jerry drop in there and help out. But with Lance scoring, Sloan is going to have to play him tight. They're still a great defensive ball club, but if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to put some points on the board.
Okay, Rod, so get set for Game 5 of this series. As you would expect when these 2 teams play, particularly in the playoffs, this should be another tough battle. We'll tip it off in just a minute.
Give it all you got, take your very best shot, and may the best team win. The time is now, the name of the game is action. They're on the floor and they're ready to score, so let the game begin. And let's see how the ball's gonna bounce today. Welcome to NBA, come on and join the rest of the crowd. There's a line across the crowd from your way. You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS. You'll see the best in basketball on CBS. When you watch the NBA on CBS. NBA on CBS. Our Chicago Bulls.
CBS Television Sports presents the NBA playoffs. Tonight, the Detroit Pistons meet the Chicago Bulls, sponsored by Volkswagen. Few things in life work as well as a Volkswagen. And by Rapid Shave. We never met a face we didn't like. And by the STP Corporation, makers of world-famous products for your car. And by the Sears Craftsman Eager 1 Lawnmower, sold only at Sears.
And the coach, Ray Scott. And now, here are the starting lineups for our Chicago Bulls. At the forward, 6'7" from Bradley, number 25, Chet Walker. 6'8" from Southern, number 10, Bob Love. At center, 6'9" from Oklahoma, number 14, Cliff Ray. The guards are 6'1", St. Francis, number 2, Norm Van Lier. And 6'5" from Evansville, number 4, Jerry Sloan. And the coach of the Bulls, Dick Motta. The referees tonight assigned by the NBA are Jake O'Donnell and Richie Powers, and the alternate is Paul Mihalik.
Those the officials, Richie Powers and Jake O'Donnell, will be working, and Paul Mihalik is the alternate. And Rick Barry, I wondered if you had any last-minute thoughts about this contest.
Well, Pat, I think the officiating is going to have a lot to do with this as far as determining what the tempo of the game is going to be. If you remember last Thursday night in Los Angeles, Richie Powers was really quick with that whistle and stopping the players from banging and pushing and holding, especially away from the ball. And with this game being touted to be a physical contest, Richie may just take control again and show the fellas that they're not going to get away with anything out there.
Okay, we're about set for Game 5 as Richie Powers gives us that last little inclination that he is ready. Dick Motta is ready. Ray Scott, I'm sure, ready at the other end of the court. And we're about set for the last half of this series, which is now down to a best 2 out of 3. Bob Lanier and Clifford Ray, the matchup at center. They'll jump it up, controlled by Detroit, but back to Chicago. Inside it goes to Clifford Ray with Bob Lanier right behind him. Ray retreats into the corner, gets it back out to Love. He's being played defensively by Curtis Rowe. Butterbean shoots a little too hard. The ball comes back out.
Well, the foul on that Adams for pushing off on the rebound, and once again, Richie's going to let the fellas know that there's not going to be too much banging and pushing out there.
An indication of just what Rick Barry was talking about a minute ago, that Richie Powers, who is considered to be one of the best officials in the NBA, is not going to let anybody take charge. Jeff Walker hits the first basket for Chicago. They lead 2-0. Opening minutes, first period. Series is tied at 2. Jake O'Donnell puts his whistle to work.
I think both officials are really going to be looking for all the pushing and the holding out here and not let it get out of hand early.
I believe that foul was against Lanier. No, it's against Don Adams, I'm sorry. Curtis Rowe the ball. Stu Lance firing. Can't get it. Chet Walker with the rebound. Here's Van Lier penetrating. Back outside it goes Walker. Walker underneath to Love. Here's Jerry Sloan underneath. Too hard. Taken down by Bing. Here's Curtis Rowe almost losing in the corner. Back outside Lanier. Cross-court Bing. Adams is open. And hit. Tied score at 2-2. 10:45 remaining first period. Here's Norm Van Lier being played defensively by Dave Bing. That's been a great matchup throughout this series. Jerry Sloan is being played by Stu Lance. And here's Clifford Ray at the top of the key. Too deep for him to shoot. Here's Sloan with a jumper. Good.
Excellent pick that time by Chet Walker, freeing Jerry Sloan coming around for that jump shot. Jerry's been doing a lot of that this year, and he's really been successful with it.
He has been scoring more effectively in the playoffs than he did. Duncan.
There's no doubt about that one. Curtis went up and just jammed it right through and made a nice cut to the basket, got a great pass.
He has done an outstanding job on the offensive boards in this series. And that basket by Bob Love. Foul is against Detroit. 3-second violation. I'm sorry. No foul. Here's Van Lier and Bing. That matchup again. Ray's up to pick for it. Chet Walker jumping in too hard. Lanier with the rebound. Van Lier almost took one of our monitors with him. It's 6-4 Chicago. And Lanier makes his move to the basket.
Bob is so mobile for a big man. Here, we'll take a look at him on this play as Dave Bing handling the basketball. Pitches off to Lanier, gets him in fake for the shot, starts to go to the hoop. Clifford Ray was holding on to him as he was going, and they're not going to allow that when you're making your move to the basket.
Big Bob Lanier has had a great playoff series. He's averaging over 27 points a game. And you talk about the pure shooters. He's one of them.
He's one of the great shooters for big men.
9:20 remaining as it's a tie score now between Detroit and Chicago. 9:18 in the first period as we're in the opening minutes of this basketball game. Game 5 of the series, tied at 2 between Chicago and Detroit. Here's Chet Walker, picked up by Lanier. Now Sloan is picked up by Lanier. Curtis Rowe down with a rebound. It's Sloan's jumper was short. Here's Stu Lance. Clifford Ray doing a good job on the defensive board. It's 6 apiece. Van Lier, no good. Sloan takes it down in the corner.
Lanier intimidated him on that shot.
That foul is against Lance, and we'll look again.
We see the replay, the ball bouncing out. Sloan gets the ball, looks, pitches it out. Bob Love makes the fake by. Lance reaching from behind, caught him. Ball's out of bounds.
Here's Bob Love controlling in the corner now. Inside goes Clifford Ray with Lanier right behind him. Over the head is Chet Walker. Lanier picks him up, and here is one of those patented Chet Walker moves, but he can't get it out. Shortest man on the court got the rebound.
Nice follow that time by Van Lier, but he and Sloan do that a lot for the Bulls. They go in on the offensive boards, and that makes them vulnerable to the fast break.
8-6 Chicago now with 8:15 remaining as Lanier jumps and is off a little too hard. Sloan again with the rebound. Van Lier controls and penetrates. Off to Walker, no good. Kept back out and saved in the corner by Bob Lanier. Here goes Dave Bing. Bing is off to the right.
Foul was underneath, boxing out Curtis Rowe. He just rode Bob Love right off the floor, and Richie Powers is right there to see it. It looks like you can tell that the Pistons are trying to get this game into a running game. This is where Ray Scott, he said before the game when I was talking to him, that he feels this is where they can beat the Bulls very badly in a running game.
And the Bulls feel that they have to get their score. That basket by Jerry Sloan.
Well, Jerry just took Lance in there and posted him, used his height advantage, and shot right over him.
Started to say a minute ago that the Bulls have to get scoring from their forwards, Chet Walker and Bob Love. That's the heart of their offense. Here's Lance now working. Gets out of Adams. Adams shoots over Walker, no good. Rebound Bing again. Twice. Finally got it.
Great play by Dave Bing, getting 2 offensive boards and made a super shot on the last effort.
The Bulls by 2, 10-8 with 7:12 remaining first period. Walker gets it to Love at the top of the key, and he's jumping against Curtis Rowe and hitting.
It looks like Butterbean's got the hot hand. He just shot that right in Curtis Rowe's face.
Ricky gets that ball so far back behind his head, it's almost impossible to block it.
Very much like Oscar Robertson.
There's Curtis Rowe answering at the other end of the court. 12-10 Chicago now. The Bulls by 2 as Van Lier brings it up.
You can't give the player a baseline move like that. You've got to cut that baseline off.
Here's Van Lier going again. Great move by Van Lier.
Super move that time by Van Lier.
4-point lead now for Chicago as Bing is being double teamed for the moment. Van Lier has him. Here's Curtis Rowe. Outside it goes Lier. Ray's out with him. He's coming out deeper than he has before.
That was a great call by Richie Powers. Glance fake. He got Jerry Sloan up in the air. We'll take a look at it right here. There's the pass in. Gives him the fake. Gets Sloan up. There's no doubt about it. He turns and he jumps right into Jerry Sloan, and Richie Powers is right there to see the play.
You know, driving can be fun, and the right shock absorber can make a big difference. Gabriel makes one called Striders. Striders are custom tuned for your suspension system and custom tuned for your kind of driving. There's regular, firm, and for me, I like extra firm. But you can set Striders the way you like them. Gabriel Striders. King of the road.
There are going to be a lot of pretty faces at the Colgate tournament and a lot of not-so-pretty faces. Faces that can use Rapid Shave's aromatic oils and lubricating skin conditioners. Faces that can use our special soap system to help clean and soften the skin. And faces that can use our moisturizers to soften the beard. There'll be a lot of faces that will like Rapid Shave. After all, we never met a face we didn't like, or a fan that won't like the Colgate Dinosaur Winner's Circle tournament.
NBA action coming up Saturday on CBS will either be the 7th game of this series between Detroit and Chicago. And Rick, maybe you can help me decipher this. If this series is over, then it'll be the first game of the Western Conference Finals, the winner of the Chicago-Detroit series against Milwaukee.
Well, I think actually that I know what's going on, I hope. It's Sunday that I'm really worried about. But actually, this may very well go 7 games because I just don't think any one team's going to really run away from the other one because they're two teams that play excellent defense, and defense is the most important facet of playing basketball because night after night, that's the most consistent part of the game.
We have just been informed that the Boston Celtics have defeated the Buffalo Braves 100-97, so we'll be in Boston on Sunday. Perhaps. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Here's Chet Walker jumping and getting.
Nice fake by Chet that time, and he caught his man leaning the wrong way, went in and took one of his little patented 5-foot jump shots. He very rarely misses those.
The Chicago lead is 6 now, 16-10 with 5:45 remaining first period. Lanier gets it back outside of Bing. Inside it goes to big Bob Lanier, and he can't get the bounce. He won't miss many like that.
No, he certainly won't.
Here's Clifford Ray getting it back outside now to Sloan. Back inside now it goes to Ray. Sloan, the jumper from the side, good.
Sloan's really looking to be offensive-minded, and he might as well because he's got the hot hand, and he's got a small man guarding him, and he can take that jump shot any time that he wants.
The Chicago lead has grown to 8 now as Bing fires to the side. The Pistons shooting is off. Here comes Van Lier back out Sloan again. He hits.
Patty's really got the adrenaline flowing, and they're going to have to do something to try and slow Jerry Sloan down a little bit.
He has 8 points. Lanier backing in now against Clifford Ray, and over it goes to Curtis Rowe. 10-point lead for Chicago. Here's Dave Bing from outside, no good. Lanier fights the glove for the rebound. Butterbean takes it. Crowd is on its feet at Chicago.
Great hustle that time by Sloan.
Taken away by Van Lier. Wide open shot missed that time by Sloan. Crowd is really. Here's Curtis Rowe, can't get it underneath, save for a minute by Lance. Detroit ball.
This type of a pace is not good for Chicago, Pat. They're just getting up the floor a little bit too quickly. That's not their style, and they're starting to miss some of those shots. They had good opportunities, but I think the coach Mata's going to want them to slow down just a bit.
Sloan had 2 easy shots, wide open shots.
Great double team by Bob Love that time. He came over and shut the baseline off, as we talked about earlier, and Stu Lance had nowhere to go, lost his balance, and fell out of bounds.
That's the 24-second clock in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, which you'll see from time to time. 24 seconds to shoot in the NBA. Van Lier is loose underneath. Can't get it.
There's a break for the Pistons that time. Dave Bing turned his head defensively. There's a great pass by Love into Lanier, into Van Lier, but he was underneath the basket so far he couldn't get the shot off.
An offensive foul has been called against Chicago. Detroit will inbound.
I think it was on Bob Love.
20-10, a 10-point lead for Chicago. 3.5 minutes remaining first period. Don Adams throws it away. Curtis Rowe turned his back. Bulls will inbound now. 10-point lead for Chicago. 20-10. They've got them doubled.
Watch the 24-second clock. They normally don't start their plays until there's about 14 or 12 seconds to go on that clock.
We're down to 10 now on the 24-second clock and counting. Here's Van Lier whirling baseline. He got it.
That was just a super one-on-one move by Norm Van Lier off the dribble.
22-10 now. 12-point lead for Chicago. We're now less than 3 minutes, first period. I'm surprised Rick Ray Scott hasn't called a timeout.
I am too, because Detroit is not functioning well offensively. They're a little bit rattled, and he should call a timeout to try and get them back together. That's a bad shot by Adams.
Sloan comes down with the rebound. 12-point Chicago lead. They're going to have this thing out of sight. Here's Bob Love jumping over Rowe.
There goes Ray calling a timeout.
There's a timeout at Chicago Stadium with 2 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The score is the Chicago Bulls 24, the Detroit Pistons 10.
To make the commercial you're looking at right now, we needed a director, a producer, a script girl, a cameraman, a writer, some assistants, all this equipment, and a special vehicle that could carry all the people and equipment out to the desert and back on one tank of gas. The Volkswagen bus.
Try looking at a Volkswagen this way. It's the only small car with a sealed steel bottom. And the VW is built to take a little punishment. In fact, it's practically airtight. Now, what other kind of car at Volkswagen's kind of price gives you this kind of quality?
The most beautiful sight in sports, the Augusta National Golf Course, where you watch the Masters every year on CBS. A year ago, it was Tommy Aaron who shook off the reputation of always finishing second, who won the famous green coat. This year, Johnny Miller has been the hottest name on the tour, won the first 3 tournaments. But of course, there's always Jack Nicklaus. He is always a strong contender for the Masters green, and you'll see it all here on CBS, Saturday and Sunday, April 13th and 14th.
Detroit Pistons coach Ray Scott was just up talking to Richie Powers. What's he got on his mind, you think, Rick?
Well, I'm sure he's telling his players to try and move the ball a little bit more and get the ball inside, possibly to Bob Lanier, although Clifford Ray's been doing a fine job on him defensively and forcing Bob out of his offensive range, although he can shoot from far out. He's been much too far than normal.
The chant of defense goes up at Chicago Stadium now as the fans encourage their Bulls to increase. They lead by 14. With 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, they take it away.
Exactly what I was talking about, Pat. Lanier was 25 feet from the basket that time and had Bob Love guarding him, and he just knocked the ball away. A great steal and easy basket for the Bulls.
It is 26-10 now, with less than 2 minutes remaining. Here's Dave Bing jumping from the top of the key. Again, not a good percentage shot. Here goes Van Lier now. Inside it goes Chet Walker. Moving against Don Adams. No good. Rebound to Curtis Rowe. Bob Lanier only has 2 rebounds so far.
I don't believe he's scored it yet, has he?
2 foul shots.
2 foul shots.
Inside Rowe. That jumper from behind the head. No good. Rebound Ray.
Those are not good shots that the Pistons are taking.
26-10, a 16-point lead, and firepower is coming off the Detroit bench. Van Lier's called for walking. Here comes George Trapp. Let's go back and look at Lanier and see what is happening.
Well, here we are. Here's Bob getting the ball on offense. Now look how far away from the basket he is. He's way out, about 25 feet. Tries to drive on Love. Love reaches around, catches the ball, knocks it right to Sloan. An easy basket for the Bulls, but Bob Lanier has no business being 25 feet from the basket.
Even as good a shooter as he is, he can't be effective that far out.
That's for sure. And it'll be interesting now to see if the Pistons start to go to Trapp. He's been very hot in this series, shooting well over 50%. In fact, I think 57% from the floor, and he gave him the big lift in the last game, and they're going to need some help right here.
Substitutions in for Detroit as we have two new forwards, George Trapp, wearing number 31, and Willie Norwood, number 8, at the other forward, as Rowe and Adams sit down. Here's Lanier. Got it.
Tough shot. Ray was in excellent position. He hadn't faked it out and came right back to the defensive man and just made a very difficult shot.
26-12. The Bull lead is 14 now. Less than a minute remaining first period. 50 seconds. Here's Chet Walker. Clifford Ray jumps and hits.
That's not Clifford Ray's normal shot, but he certainly put that one in.
28-12 Chicago now. George Trapp holds up. Richie Powers has checked a violation. Against Chicago, Detroit will inbound. Foul was against Bob Lowe. Norwood hits.
Well, Ray's come in with both shooters in that forward position. That's Norwood and Trapp are the two best shooters they have in the forward position. He's really looking to get some offense.
Trapp has got Bob Love on defense. Norwood is taking Walker. So they both got a challenge. 28-14 now. Bulls still have a double. Van Lier, offensive foul.
Van Lier came off the screen that time, and he didn't even know that Norwood was there and really crashed into him and took quite a shot. You can see him limping a little bit. Let's watch the play. Here comes the screen. Well, we're seeing Lanier here. There he goes. Boom. Norwood came from nowhere. And Lanier really went down hard.
Here's Dave Bing now against Van Lier. Against Bing, rather. As Norwood shoots way outside. That's the end of the first quarter. With the score, the Chicago Bulls 28, the Detroit Pistons 14.
Welcome to Winnebago's Grand Giveaway, where everyone who buys a new Winnebago motorhome also gets up to $1,000 worth of extras at no extra cost. And you get to choose from things that fit motorhoming just perfect.
A barbecue grill, camping equipment, air conditioner, a portable TV. In all, over 300 items to choose from.
It's all in this catalog, which you'll find at participating dealers. Just show up with a smile before May 18th.
When you're watching the world go by from a sunny sidewalk cafe, that's living. But with a glass of Lancers, that's the good life. You know why people love Lancers? Shimmering Lancers? Because it tastes so special. Lancers Rosé, imported from Portugal.
To the good life.
We now pause for this word from your local station.
Let the Perry Como Sunshine Show brighten your night with Debbie Reynolds and Donnie and Marie Osmond helping tomorrow on CBS.
Mazda proudly introduces an exceptional new engine warranty. 50,000 miles or 3 years on all new rotary engine Mazdas. Mazda's rotary engine is so reliable, Mazda now offers a non-transferable warranty that the basic engine block and internal moving parts will be free of defects with normal use and prescribed maintenance for 50,000 miles or 3 years, whichever occurs first, or Mazda will fix it free. No car matches the length of this warranty, except the cars from Rolls-Royce, but they don't offer the rotary engine.
Newsroom with Joseph Benty at 11:30.
Okay, second period action in Chicago with the Chicago Bulls totally dominating the first quarter. They lead 28-14. This series tied at 2 apiece. And Bob Lanier and Clifford Ray will jump it up.
Kind of looked like the Bulls just out-hustled Detroit in that first quarter.
They have still not made a substitution. Clifford Ray.
There's a play right there. Norm Van Lier just out-hustled him for the ball.
Here's Van Lier controlling now. Dave Bing in front of him. Inside it goes to Cliff Ray. Here's Bob Love. Picked up by Lier now. Butterbean with a fine move.
What's happening is Detroit is switching on every play, every cross. Take a look at this play. Here goes Love. You see Lanier switch out to get him. Now, that's a tough assignment for Lanier trying to guard a small forward. And he just goes right by and drives in. George Trapp committed himself up in the air and fouled him on the play. But Detroit's going to have to watch doing that. They're getting themselves in a lot of mismatches.
Love missed the free throw, but Sloan again came down with the rebound. And he's got it now, gets it off to Walker. Walker being played by Norwood now. Over to Love.
Fantastic play. Once again, Detroit double team. The man was wide open. Love with an over-the-head pass to Ray for the dunk shot.
32-14 now. The Chicago Bulls over the Pistons. An 18-point lead with 11:10 remaining. Second period. At Chicago Stadium, George Trapp forced the shot. Foul is called against Love.
That could hurt. That could hurt. We'll take a look here. Here's Trapp way away from the basket, having to do a lot of dribbling and moving to get to the hoop. Love on him pretty good. Goes up with the shot. Bob catches him with the body afterwards. I'm sure Bob didn't want to do that. He just went a little bit too far forward and didn't make contact with his body. We had a little better angle seeing it from here.
That's the second foul on Bob Love. As you look at the best shooter on the Detroit team, George Trapp makes it 32-16, a 16-point lead for Chicago. 11 minutes remaining in the second period. The Bulls are really working. Walker inside Love.
Can't do anything about that, Pat. Trapp had perfect